So you made a routine. You wake up at this time, you jump in the pool for 4 minutes, rub bananas over your face, dip your face in Saratoga water and ice. You know, the usual morning routine. You have what time you're going to work. You have everything laid out for you in this routine. But even though you have everything laid out for you in this routine, you seem to be inconsistent with the routine. 3 days in a row, you followed almost everything in the routine down to a T. Then all of a sudden, you just completely stop following it. And now, instead of getting up to work or work out or do whatever you have to do that's productive, you're now scrolling first thing in the morning, jacking off 3 times a day, and just not following the routine that you set for yourself to do at all. Section 1, why you can't follow your routine. The reason why you can't follow your routine consistently is because you're trying to go from 0 to hero. Chances are you made that routine for a reason, right? You made it because you had goals that you wanted to chase after and achieve, and you created this routine as a blueprint to get there. But when you first created this routine, you were 0. You were most likely doing all the bad habits. You would probably barely do deep work, and if you did do deep work, it was probably like 30 minutes of studying until you gave up trying to focus and just said fuck it and started scrolling or started playing Marvel Rivals with your friends. You were probably addicted to porn, jacking off maybe multiple times a day. You probably had a shitty diet, I'm the one to talk, but you were probably ordering DoorDash every other 2 days, eating fast food all the time, barely eating whole foods or fruits and vegetables, right? But the point I'm trying to drive home is the version or level of yourself when you created this routine was 0, right? You weren't doing any of the good habits, and if you were, it was probably few of the good habits and all of the bad. Now, this routine that you created is your version of your perfect self, and what your perfect self or hero version of you does down to the smallest minute. Now, I'm gonna show you my routine, so give me a second. I'm probably gonna make this a point, but tape your routine to your wall. So as you can see, I have stuff like wake up, work. I'm working right now. So it's about like 4 a.m. on a Tuesday right now. I finish everything. I finish everything, at like around 7:10. So I have time to, go to school. I meditate for 10 minutes, 7:15. Then I commute to school, obviously my school finishes at 2:50, right? Then I commute to the gym about 4:30. I'm working out at the gym. Around 6 p.m. I finish, and it usually only takes me like 30 minutes to get from my gym to my house. And then 6:30 I'm doing homework. I'm doing like SAT prep because I'm trying to get a better score for my SAT prep. I'll show you a picture of my original score. It was probably, I think, 1250. I'm trying to get at least a 1400. Then I just shower, eat, night routine, and around 9:30 I'm lights out. This is what is specific to my goals currently, right? And this is what I believe to be what my perfect self does every day, what my hero version of myself does every day. I'm putting when I'm getting home, how long it takes me to do certain things, right? Down to the last minute detail. This is what I believe will get me to my goals. This is what I believe my hero version of myself, or the version of myself that already achieved these goals, does every single day. Your routine is you at your best, your perfect day, right? So does it make sense for you right now, someone that's a beginner to self-improvement, still probably does all the bad habits, or has like 1 to 3 of those bad habits that they can't get rid of, doesn't eat properly, doesn't sleep properly, can't even focus for 30 minutes without checking their phone. To go from that to a person that can work 6 hours a day, do 2 workouts a day, never jack off again, never check their phone again, meditates for 20 minutes, all these crazy demands, right? Does it seem logical, right? It doesn't seem logical at all. It's like expecting a baby to do calculus. You can't just put them straight in, nosedive them into calculus. You need to teach them basic addition, basic subtraction, division, multiplication, algebra, algebra 2, maybe some trigonometry, pre-calc, and then finally, maybe you can teach them calculus, because each step sets up for the other step. Addition sets up for multiplication. Subtraction sets up for division. Division and multiplication sets up for algebra. Algebra sets up for algebra 2. You get the idea, right? So if we want to go to 0 to hero, we have to go to 0 to 10 first. We can't just go from 0 to hero. Have people done it? Of course, people like David Goggins and like other people that I don't know off the top of my head have probably done it, but you're not them, you're you. And you've obviously proved to yourself that you can't go from 0 to 100, because if you could, you wouldn't be watching this video, right? So stop trying to go that route. Go the slower yet more effective route, which is 0 to 10. Section 2, how to go from 0 to 10. So your routine is here. I don't know what your routine is, but I'm going to use my routine as an example of how to do this. So as we can see, I have a couple things. I have things like work, meditation, working out, SAT prep, like studying. So out of these, you see some tasks are bigger than others. Like my work block wouldn't count for the same percentage of my day as meditating for 10 minutes. So there's most likely some small parts of your routine, like meditating, journaling, or reading, that you have stuffed up in between the big tasks. So when you're first starting out, see your routine as like an army. If you want to be successful in taking down the army as efficient as possible, you gotta attack them where they're weak first. In this case, the places the routine is weak in, or the things you can probably do easily, are the small things. Maybe like reading or meditating or journaling. Maybe you have like a cold shower in there. Just whatever you have, attack the small things first. So for me, out of my routine, personally, if I wanted to go from 0 to 10, I would pick the 10 minutes of meditation. And by the way, I will only pick 10 minutes of meditation. I'm not adding anything else, one thing at a time. So if I was trying to go from 0 to 10, I would only pick 10 minutes of meditation and then try to get consistent in that. Of course, you can do more, but switch your frame of thinking that a successful day is only if you do everything in your routine, the 100%, the hero version of you, to all I have to do is meditate or journal or the cold shower for me to consider it a good day. And I know, I'm gonna be blunt, this sounds kind of pussy, right? I'm telling you, start small, so small that it seems like a child can do it. And to that, I'll say, yeah, that's the whole point. To make it so easy for yourself that you can easily get consistent in it, therefore giving you momentum, which is the most important factor to consistency, momentum. Because once you have this momentum, it will be easier for you to progress and add more to your plate. Because eventually, only meditating 10 minutes a day will get so easy for me that I will start to want to do more. So I can go to 10 to 20 now. Maybe add reading and journaling. And when that gets too easy, maybe I add a workout to go with it, to go from 20 to 40, then add the deep work going from 40 to 70. Then I'll add, working out to go from 70 to 100. And boom, I went from 0 to 100, 0 to hero that fast. You're gonna have your ego telling you that this is too little for you, that you can do more. But if that was truly the case, you would have done more already. You wouldn't have had to look at a video on how to follow your routine with consistency if you could do more. So leave your ego at the table and start at your absolute 0. Progress your way up rather than letting your ego hold you back by persuading you that you can go from 0 to 100 and that you can only be happy with perfection. The reason why you can't follow your routine is because of this ego. So if you want to eventually follow your routine 100% consistently, you must, and I mean must, start small and build your way up. Have some people gone from 0 to 100? Of course, right? But again, they are special cases and the minority doesn't make the rule. Just because 5% of people did it doesn't mean we disregard the 95%. So essentially, leave your ego at the door. Stop trying to follow your routine 100%. Start small. Lower the threshold for success and only really do 10% of your routine. And once you get consistent in doing 10% of your routine, then you can do 20. And then you do that over and over and over again until you get to 100. And that's basically the entire process. Section 3. How to get consistent in going from 0 to 10. So it's one thing to say, okay, do 10 minutes of meditation. But it's another thing to be like, okay, how do I build up to 10 minutes of meditation? The same concept that we reviewed in the second section, which is working your way up instead of trying to go head on. People want to fly to the top of the mountain rather than climb it, and that's why they can never reach the peak. It's not how life works. It's about keeping a steady pace, not stopping or starting life. It isn't an 100-meter sprint, it's a marathon. So pace yourself and start slow. Build up the habits and skills that you need to get consistent in for this routine. And then once you're at 100% consistency in your routine, your perfect day, you'll see how fast you will just start to pass everyone. A marathon isn't about who's the fastest. It's about who maintains the fastest pace on average. If you can maintain the fastest pace on average by not going really fast for 1 week and then doing fuck all the next week, you'll see that you'll start progressing. But the only way to do that is first start small. So small that you take offense to it. So let's say you can't do 10 minutes of meditation. Start with something easy, 1 minute. Get consistent with 1 minute. Then the next day try 2. If you can't do 2, maybe 1 minute and 30. If you can't do that, 1 minute and 15. And just repeat that process every day until you make it to 10 minutes. And I know this is gonna seem useless as fuck, but trust me, it's the best thing you're gonna do for yourself. Just trust the process, and in about 6 months, you'll be grateful that you started small. Now, when you get consistent in the 10 minutes of meditation, again, I'm just using my routine as an example. Whatever you picked, you'll just do that process, but with that thing. Like, for example, if it's a cold shower, say you will only do, let's say, 15 seconds of the cold shower for the first day. So you make it to, I don't know, your goal of 3 minutes. Then after you completed that little goal, then you add the next thing. If you're struggling with doing that thing, maybe it's journaling for 5 minutes or reading 30 pages, start super small, like a sentence of journaling, or maybe 3 sentences, and then work your way up to 5 minutes. Or start with 5 pages and work your way up to 30. But essentially, if you struggle with doing that one thing in your routine, start off small, right? Every day, try to add a little bit more to it. Whether that's an extra sentence in your journal or 3 more pages or 30 more seconds of meditation, just add a little bit more. So for the smaller task, we essentially track our progress by seeing if we're progressing in the amount of time we spent on that task daily. For bigger tasks, we can focus on how much we do said task in a week. So for working out, you can start small. You can say that you'll only work out 2 times this week. And when that gets too easy, bump it up to 3, then 4, until you reach how many days you believe is the perfect amount to go to the gym, right? And this depends on program. So for me, I do upper lower. So I'm doing upper lower rest, rest. Let's say you have like a PPL split, right? Push pull legs. You might do 6. It varies, but the overall concept is that you're going to build yourself up to the amount you see as perfect. For example, I'm doing this for MMA. I'm not in MMA right now because like some family stuff, I couldn't really pay for the thing, but I'm definitely gonna get back to it probably next month. But my overall goal for MMA is to do it every day, Monday to Sunday. But I've never really done 7 days consistently, or ever, I don't think. The most I've probably done was 5. So what I'm going to start doing next month is to only go to MMA 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Then when I feel like I can get consistent in it, maybe give it 3 weeks, I'll add 4 days a week, then 5, then 6, until I can eventually go to 7, right? Eventually go from Monday to Sunday. So you just do the same shit with bigger tasks. Just change the metric from X minutes or hours a day to X times a week. Unless it's deep work. For deep work, you can do both. You can either increase how much times you do deep work a week, which I recommend. So for example, we'll start with 1 hour deep work for 2 days until you reach your goal of doing 1 hour deep work every day. And then you can start to look to increasing the amount of hours of deep work you do every day once you've reached your desired volume. So for example, you can start saying instead of an hour, you do 1 hour and 15 until you reach, I don't know, your perfect 6 hours a day. However hours you feel like are perfect. You just do that process again until you reach your perfection threshold, we can call it. So that's literally it for the routine itself. You climb the mountain, taking small steps, right? 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 40, until you reach 100. But during those steps, there's even smaller steps, 1% to 5%, right? and you just apply the same concept just on a smaller scale. You can either do this in a daily way, that I like to call it, where you calculate X minutes or hours or how many pages or how many sentences, stuff like that. You do a certain thing a day. Or you can do a weekly approach where you say you did the deep work or you worked out for however X times this week, and that's basically it. Section 4, what to do in your free time. Obviously, in the beginning stages, since you aren't really doing that much, you'll have a lot of free time, and that free time will be attractive to bad habits like porn or scrolling, video games, stuff like that. So what you have to do is we have to occupy our free time with something productive. And that thing isn't learning, it's reflection. Whether in a journal or like you're meditating or just staring at your wall, just think about things. Understand yourself more. Understand the things that you want to do, your interests, your goals, what you want to do with your life, right? Your weaknesses, your strengths. Just reflect like you're a monk, right? When you have free time, instead of going straight to those bad habits, just be a monk, basically. Just reflect, think about your life, think about what you want to do, think about your purpose, stuff like that, right? Because what this will do is it will make you understand yourself more. And when you can understand yourself more, the journey will be way more easier for you. This was a pretty short section, but that's basically everything that I have, right? So I wish you luck on your journey, and peace.